Okay guys, welcome to the second Yoga for BJJ podcast, live from Joy Yoga Studio.
I'm Sebastian.
This is Sebastian, I'm Micha, and this is Ian, the freshest member of the crew, dealing with customer service primarily.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, Ian. Okay, so we're all in Oslo. We did a few days of work/fun. Pretty intense work on improving the website, improving the service, but also training a lot. How did we train actually today? You can tell a little bit more about that.
We went to MMA training with some of the top guys in Europe actually. A couple of them UFC fighters.
Yeah.
Our gym was voted the best MMA gym of Europe last year actually. So
yeah.
Not a bad training. We went hard at it, stand-up wrestling.
Yeah. It's so good, just to offset all the butt scooting you see in jiu-jitsu class. It's so great, just
the glorious double legs.
Takedowns against the wall, just grinding your face into someone. That's pretty cool.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and then we went. What did we do? We ran into the Norwegian Sea in the middle of winter. That was kind of memorable.
Yeah, I told the guys I was going to take them for a surprise, and I don't know if they expected a strip club or I have no idea what they expected, but what they got was the ice-cold Norwegian Sea. So I went in first, and these two didn't want to be. We said that pussies don't get into Valhalla, so they both had to go.
There was no choice. As soon as Sebastian just dropped his clothes and ran in, so it was basically. The person who stays around on dry land is a pussy, so we can't have any of that.
And this guy went head first in diving in. That's too hardcore for me, but
yeah,
feels good afterwards.
It will definitely get you into Valhalla for sure.
It took a while to feel good.
And it's one thing that just talking about how cool Wim Hof is and actually doing
getting cold a little bit, yeah. But it really helps the breathing that he does. I think if you just go in and you don't breathe, your body just freaks out.
And I think many of the health benefits are from after you get cold and when you actually start heating yourself up. I think that's probably pretty good for you.
Yeah. And then we did, Ian and I did 2 more hours of training today at Frontline in the gi. Some seriously high level guys on the mats. And Sebastian taught 2 classes, just like the hustler that he is. And let's talk about what we worked on the other day as well.
Yeah, this weekend we've been recording a DVD, which I had planned to do for a few years, but I wanted to wait until I was a black belt. And it's called the 30 Dirty, and it's the 30 most dirty techniques that I've learned on my way through judo, 16 years of judo, and then starting as a white belt to black belt in BJJ. I managed to pick up a few sneaky dirty little tricks that I now put in one DVD. It's gonna be $30, of course, 30 dirty, $1 per dirty trick, and you can use it to really mess up your training partners forever.
Sebastian can say this because he doesn't roll with himself, but it's important to understand. The 30 dirty, they're not like 30 random tricks, they're his game. It's his game. Like when you roll with Sebastian, you will probably not get grinded down, backstep pass, side control, mount, and then cross choke. Something extremely painful will happen super soon unless you learn his 30 dirty tricks.
Yeah.
And they are incredibly painful. How do I know that? Oh wait, because he did all of them on me. And
with the retakes.
they hurt a lot, and not all of them were good in the first take. So if you wouldn't be interested in it because of Sebastian's extensive knowledge in judo and jiu-jitsu, then you should do it for the sacrifice that yours truly had to make.
Yeah, and it's not unsportsmanlike techniques at all. It's techniques that are considered dirty by the person who is receiving them, but they're all IBJJF legal, and it's all legit techniques that actually works.
Yeah.
There was a lot of techniques that I wanted to put there, but that I know are not high percentage techniques. So I used the ones that just works over and over again out of sheer shock of my opponent, or just by the pure effectiveness of the technique.
They're very effective.
They are very effective.
Yeah.
It's going to be available on Yoga for BJJ very soon as we get them professionally edited.
Yeah, and we were using super high level equipment as well, so they should be crystal clear quality.
Top notch.
Yeah, top notch.
Especially the instructors are top notch.
Yeah, and we used the same equipment to film some more videos for Yoga for BJJ, the warm-up videos. If you remember, there's plenty of them that we shot last time.
I think 50 of them last time.
Yeah, it's almost 50 of them. They're in the video library. If you haven't had a chance to check them out, do so, and you can spice up your warm-up.
Hashtag no more boring warm-ups.
Yeah, don't just do jumping jacks and suffer internally. Do something fun. We were working on some new programs. At least coming up with what the next programs will be. Which ones are you recording next?
The Yoga for Rocks leg week, and then straight after that the Yoga for Rocks shoulder week, so that you have a full month of new Yoga for Rock programs to do. So you have 4 different Yoga for Rock programs. So if you're a complete rock, you're gonna love these 4. You can just loop them over and over again for eternity, and just your body will love it.
Yeah.
And then we're also planning to shoot a Yoga over 40 program. So we have a lot of you members who are in their 40s, late 30s and 40s and 50s, and you're probably really gonna like a program that is we're currently researching a little bit what it is that you actually want. And hips has been hips,
neck, lower
hips,
back,
shoulder, neck, yeah.
everything.
We're gonna try to put it all in there in a program.
If you're a member, or even if you're just interested in this, maybe send a few messages our way. Ian will be probably logging them very
thoroughly.
Yeah, and they will be a part of the program.
Sure.
Every program that gets made, we really try to incorporate everything that you guys want to see. That's why feedback is super important.
I want to take the opportunity to talk to everyone who's looking for general advice, because at least 3 times daily I get this message: hey, I have general inflexibility and immobility, what should I do? Well, if you have general inflexibility and immobility, you should do general yoga. So all the videos, every single video on their website in the library is good for you. So it's not like I have a special certain trick that you can do that will fix all your problems. It's the general, just starting to do yoga regularly, that is going to help you. And there is no single class that you can take on the website that will not help you improve your flexibility and mobility. So I know you're looking for a simple solution, but the only simple solution I can give you is simply start practicing yoga, and your problems will eventually go away.
As jiu-jitsu fighters, practitioners, we should already be aware that the things that you really want to achieve, they don't come easy. Like you can have all the advertisements for getting fit fast, getting rich fast, getting X fast, but it's the same with flexibility. I can say he's always been pretty flexible, but we haven't been, and it takes a while. There's no lying here. It takes a while to get flexible. It requires a lot of hard work, but so many things that are worth doing require a lot of effort and hard work. So,
and I would say the hard work is actually getting past the discipline threshold, where you actually for in the beginning you're just motivated and everything is inspired and and then comes the down part where you need some discipline, but then after that it's habit. So the hard work is doing it for enough times until it feels stupid not to do it, and that's when it's a habit. Like you feel shittier just because you haven't done it. It's so much easier to just do it. In jiu-jitsu, it is hard work. Like if you want to get a black belt in jiu-jitsu, or if you want to win a competition, if you just not want to get smashed by your training partners every day, that's hard work. But yoga is the hard part is actually stepping onto your yoga mat and start. But when you start, you just feel so amazing. So I would say just get past the threshold, and it will go so much easier.
And another thing that we're working on that should make should make doing yoga videos easier is an app. So the cat's out of the bag. We're working on an app because a lot of people access the website on your phones. It's more portable, and we're aware that we are not professional web designers just yet. We try super hard, but we also try to do a lot of jiu-jitsu, and it's kind of exclusive. So the app should make it a lot easier to get to where you need to be in terms of your videos for Yoga for BJJ. It's gonna have a ton of cool features, and we hope to get it done within a month. And there it goes. We didn't have a deadline before. We have it now. In a month, we should be looking at the new app as well, which is very exciting.
Yes, for sure. That is one of the most common requests. Tips about stiff hips and an app, and we're working on both.
Yeah, lots of hip tips already available.
Yes.
We just did a hip sequence today. It was actually somewhat of a personal request. The way Yoga for BJJ developed was Sebastian started filming from his guest room.
Yeah, cabin, yeah.
Right, from his cabin with a simple camera, and upload those videos to Vimeo and then to the website. And some of those videos, they aren't up to the standards that we try to reach now, but they're still very good. So one of them is hip sequence, which is just a very nice flow that Sebastian did ages ago for the hips. Today we reshot it, and it's going to be available for free on
the front page.
On everywhere. YouTube, Facebook, front page. If you can't find it, you're bad at searching for it.
And if you remember, share this video with your friends and tell them to actually do it, because in just 20 minutes you can get a taste of how good yoga can actually feel for your legs, your hips and your spine.
And guess what? It's in the description below as well. If you are on YouTube, it is down here. You have to click something and then click on it and then go there. But listen to the rest of the podcast first maybe, or go to the video, whichever you want.
If you're looking for old videos on the website as well, the ones like I was just talking about, check out yogaforbjj.net/videos. A lot of people think we just have the programs there, and they're looking through the program section, and that's brilliant. But if you want to see the deeper archives, a few standalone videos, a lot of people don't know that there's a separate videos section.
Exactly.
So /videos, check it out.
Yeah, the library is full of. We actually have a nice structure on the library there. So don't just do 2 programs and then wait for more programs to come, because you have so many options to choose from. It's just like in BJJ. You need a program in the beginning. You need a structure in the beginning. But when you develop more into a blue belt and purple belt, you want to see the plethora of options you have. So go search the deep website.
Yeah.
Yeah, we posted some requests on Instagram, and people sent us plenty of requests.
We asked for questions to answer on the podcast, because this shouldn't be just us talking about random stuff. We want to answer some questions, and some of them are frequently asked questions. We get them a lot, so it's also very helpful. We're trying to make these podcasts a way to find out a lot of the answers that you may have. So the first question is coming in from Instagram. What is the role of yoga in developing strong, stable core muscles and balance for a jiu-jitsu athlete? Also, can it have an effect on how we are breathing in competition? And this comes from, I want to say Sherry or Cherry, but I'm gonna go with Sherry. So would you mind answering that one, reading it again?
What is the role of yoga in developing strong, stable core muscles and balance for a jiu-jitsu athlete? Well, if you're just stretching on the floor, then you won't develop so much core muscles. But if you actually do many of the yoga flows that I teach, the vinyasa style yoga flows, then your core will for sure, you will get your core much more integrated. And in jiu-jitsu guys usually have super strong abs, but the internal, like the deep core muscles aren't necessarily as strong. So, but core is subtle, so you have to actually put a lot of effort into the core poses to get something out of them, because it's so easy to cheat and just use your back. And if you have back pain, it's probably because you're overusing your back. It's not because you have a weak back that you never use, that a lot of sedentary people have. It's because you're overusing your back. So learning how to actually use your core is one of the most sternest thing you can do when you practice yoga, to learn to do it right. And it usually takes a year or two before you get the stuff I'm talking about in the videos. And then can it have an effect on how you're breathing in competition? Yes, absolutely 100%. Can't stress it enough. It has huge impact on the way you breathe in competition.
Yeah. Okay. The next one is really simple. We just answered it a little while ago. Sam asked, can you use yoga for BJJ videos on phones as opposed to using them on computers? Really short. You can do it now already. We have a mobile website. You can absolutely access them there, and soon an app is coming in, so you'll be able to do that as well. Then we have, I think this is Rory asking, hey Sebastian, you once said that clicking is fine if it does not hurt. I notice in competition you put your hands on knees and arch your back. Is this to cause a click? In competition, I think he might have meant competition week program. I'm not quite sure. I'm having the desire to do the same central back area 3 to 4 times a day, hoping not making it worse. Okay, so your videos are really helpful. So what I would say this question wants to find out is, can you just find a spot and click your back? Does that injure your back, or is that okay to do? Because I do that sometimes as well.
The only thing that can really hurt you is not moving. If you move, you're gonna get injured, but you're gonna be completely, like, if you don't move your body. So whatever you do, don't sit still. If you move and it hurts a little bit and you stop moving because of that, that's the worst mistake you can do. So if you feel your back aching a little bit and it's clicking and making sounds but you're moving, that's good. I'm a 100% believer in movement as therapy. So if you have a problem, you have to move without putting a lot of stress on the area, without provoking symptomatic pain if you have an injury. But still, if you've had a knee surgery a few weeks ago and you don't move your knee, it's gonna deteriorate. You have to move. You have to move your back. You have to move your neck. You have to move all the joints in your body.
It's absolutely crazy how fast your body loses muscle if you don't move. I had knee surgery over half a year ago now, and man, my muscle just disappeared in a matter of like 2 weeks after surgery, when I had to have my leg extended. It's absolutely
my
crazy.
lower back is clicking like crazy. I don't think the mic would take it up. I could show you, but my lower back is cracking and cracking and cracking and cracking until I did maybe an hour of yoga or 1 hour and a half of jiu-jitsu, then it stops cracking. But then 2 hours later it starts cracking again. But it doesn't bother me, and if it doesn't bother you, you shouldn't care about your body making sounds.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot of times about knees and shoulders. It just pops, it's just some air in the joint, or as long as it doesn't hurt, you're probably fine.
Yeah.
But if it hurts, then you're not fine. Okay, next question. This one might prompt a little bit of a wider discussion. So Hani asks, do you do lifting of any kind? And a research came out saying that static stretching actually makes you lose strength. How true is that, if it's true at all?
Two things. Do you lift at all? Lifting my body weight is one of the best things I can do, I think, because you have no pulling in yoga, so yoga is not complete in any way. If you climb, or if you do shins, if you do pull-ups, if you do rowing, if you do lifting where you're pulling, that's a great addition to yoga. And in jiu-jitsu, of course, we're pulling, but we usually don't pull like this. We don't go all the way. We usually just jank a little bit, so we don't get to develop really strong back muscles in jiu-jitsu, and neither in yoga. You don't get a big back from doing yoga. So I think Olympic lifting and powerlifting is really good if you have a if you have good technique.
Yeah.
And that is really hard when you do heavy weights. So I would recommend, if you're a beginner in lifting weights, you should definitely be with someone very experienced, because it's easy to get injured if you don't know what to do.
And the problem as well is Olympic lifting is really popular currently, with crossovers from CrossFit made it a lot more popular, but the thing is, it's very technical, and if you start doing it with weights that are not appropriate, you are risking quite a bit there. Especially if you're a full-time jiu-jitsu guy. If you only want to do lifting to make yourself stronger,
I would go for kettlebells, because it's much less injury risk.
Kettlebells are good, but if you want to do compound barbell exercises, you really have the deadlift, the squat, and the bench. There's not much.
And if you do those, do them with someone who knows what.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to go. There's so many different techniques that you have to master. I just got a very good book from Kelly Starrett, Becoming a Supple Leopard. It's kind of like a Bible of mobility, and he goes over doing a proper deadlift. And doing yoga helps a whole lot in doing a proper deadlift and pretty much any lift, because of the awareness that you have of your body. So Sebastian, if you do one of the videos for Yoga for BJJ, you'll see that you're constantly changing position and you're finding your body in positions, let's say with just like this, so you come up from a forward fold and you stretch forward, your back is straight. That's essential for doing a good deadlift.
Yeah, posture is posture. The body is always the body, so no matter what activity you do, if you manage to understand your body mechanics in one activity like yoga, it's going to make it much easier in lifting. I have a friend here in Oslo. He after he started yoga, he beat his own personal record, and he deadlifts. His personal record is 300 kilos in deadlift. And he came up with he did our classes for a couple of years, and then he moved, so he doesn't go to them anymore, but he made up his own warm-up routine based on the yoga he did in our classes, and it was almost exactly the same like the official Yoga for BJJ warm-up routine that's now on the website. And he hadn't done any class that was similar to that one. It was just the things he figured out was best for him to warm up before his weightlifting session. He's a power lifter, and he starts every powerlifting session with a 20-minute yoga session just to soften everything up and do an all-round practice.
And I think you absolutely have to do that. If you just get into the gym and you start lifting heavy stuff,
and riding a bicycle for 20 minutes is not all you need.
It's not. Like, you have to do some sort of yoga mobility workout. You absolutely have to, because your performance will be much better.
Let's talk about this quickly. Let's not spend too much time on it. But all the stuff I have read about this static stretching is bad for performance is. The stuff I read is junk science. It's just a really poorly designed study where you can tell that the person who designed the study had no understanding of how preparing for physical exercise actually worked. They treated it like hard science instead of soft science. When you talk about the body and things that are hard to measure, for example, flexibility is really hard to measure, and no matter how much you isolate the muscle, and like, okay, I heard a physician, he's a professor in physiology, and he said a muscle can only be 10% more flexible, and he treated it like a rocket science or physics, and the body doesn't work like that. It's like, okay, I'm here, and down there is 100%, which means I can only go down 10%. That's how people interpret what he says. What he is saying is the actual muscle fibers can only get 10% longer. But if you add in all the muscles in your back chain, you can probably be 200% more flexible. So don't read scientific studies on your body and take it as some kind of truth. It pisses me off a little bit, because I hear it so often that if you stretch before competition, it lowers your performance. That's absolutely crazy, and it will take me hours to explain why, but don't just take someone's word for it.
At least check what the study is like.
Check the study, but also more importantly, try to figure out on your own if it's true or not, because no matter if 1,000 studies says it doesn't work and it works tremendously for you, then all 1,000 studies are wrong, because it's based on experience. Do you feel much more flexible and less prone to injuries if you warm up? Then yes.
Yeah, but would you say that doing some kind of mobile stretching where you're moving and stretching would be better before doing something like jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, but
like,
the difference between mobile and static in the studies I read, it was 1 minute was considered static.
Okay.
And if I wake up in the morning and do I usually do 10 minutes of static stretching. Mm-hmm. If I try to jump really high within 1 hour after that doesn't work too well, because my muscles are really long and soft. So that's true. Like, you get a slight decrease in performance, but after that, it's so much easier to get going and use my muscles more.
I know you don't want to spend too much time on it, but I know for a fact that there's another question that's very much similar to that. And basically, don't we, on Yoga for BJJ, we recommend people to do, as a warm-up, they should do a flow normally, right? Yeah. And after practice, they do a static stretch. Yeah. So you can be safe. Like, if you want to do some yoga before training, flow, like move, warm up. You're gonna build some heat in your body. It's gonna be better for you. But after training, you can just relax and sleep, stretch.
I know that common sense is one of the natural enemies of science. But what you miss out when you try to interpret science, because science is usually right, but you read it in the wrong context. So what we're saying is, yes, science is also telling us that's right, that dynamic warm-ups is great, and static stretching temporarily decreases your performance slightly, and that's why I wouldn't recommend you to do 1 hour of yin yoga, like slow stretchy yoga before a competition. It wouldn't make sense, and it will feel really weird to do it like that. But you do a active flow before and then do stretching afterwards. Makes sense.
Just from a personal experience, like getting up in the morning being all cold, a really static stretch doesn't feel as nice as a few cat-cows or like moving a little.
And you don't have to read a scientific study
to know that. Okay, next question comes from Niall, who trains at the same team as me and Ian, so us Niall, shout out. Have you got any suggestions for someone sitting at a computer desk all day? Are there ways to set up the desk chair to reduce hip shoulder issues, or best exercises to help? I think this is a very good question.
It is because a lot of people spend their days sitting.
Yeah.
And if you don't change your environment at work, if you keep sitting, it's gonna take a lot of yoga to counter that. If you're seated for 8 hours a day with your knees bent like this in a bad posture, it's probably gonna take 2 hours of yoga every day to not get crunched up. If you manage to change your environment at work so that you're taking frequent breaks, maybe you can have a standing desk and a seated desk. You can change your chair so you're not sitting like this, you're more sitting in you're seated forward like a higher chair with your knees sloping downward so that you don't get this arch. You actually can lift your chest and sit on the front of your sitting bones. If you can do stuff like that and maybe have a rubber band and stretch around. I have one of the members on the website, a Swedish guy. He's that guy in the office that just does crazy stuff all the time. Like, he doesn't have to sit glued to the computer, so he moves around, he stretches, he uses the rubber band, and he said it changed his working days completely after he got a higher chair and a higher desk, chair and a higher desk, and he started moving around. So you can for sure do that, but if you don't expect 5 minutes of yoga every day to it's not a cure-all thing. Like, you have to actually change something if you want permanent results.
Yes. One more thing, could you, for the viewers on YouTube, could you show how you would sit properly? Because I think a lot of people just sit with their scrunched shoulders over the keyboard and type away, which
and the reason that you're crunched over is because of the setup. It's not your fault. Your body is not meant to sit in, like, our bodies are millions of years old, millions of years of evolution, and we did not evolve to sit in front of a computer. But if you're gonna sit in front of a computer, I would for sure recommend you to sit far out on the chair and keep your knees way down below your hips. So your knees, your femur bones are not leveled with the floor. You're seated with your knees down so that you're almost tilting off of the chair. That makes your spine straight, because when your knees go up, your chest collapses and your back arches. And if you sit like this, I can show from the side, if you sit like this and you try to posture up, you're using back muscles and they last for about 2 minutes, and then you have to sag down again, because there is no way that the back can compensate for the wrong hip placement. So your hips are key if you want to have a good seated posture. And there are really smart chairs where you sit and the knees slope down and you have pads under your knees, so that all the body weight is not on your butt but in the knees. It increases blood flow as well, and there are some really smart chair variations.
I've been looking into some of them. The only problem is they're expensive as hell.
Yeah.
But when you look at it,
if you have a good job, they're probably gonna help you pay for it.
And also, even if you don't, what's more important than having good health and good mobility? And that.
And your phone costs like hundreds of euros.
Yeah.
And a chair is much more important than your phone.
For sure. Any advice for waking up earlier to fit this into your routine? I love to do more to increase my range of movement, but find getting up early before work to do is a killer.
Yes, this is a good one, and let's go back to our best friend, common sense. If you want to wake up early, go to sleep early. Don't watch that last episode, and don't waste your precious moment of sleep by spending the last hour of your evening on the phone. If you can go to sleep at 10, waking up at 5 is easy. If you go to sleep 20 past 12, waking up at 6 is going to be pretty hard. So discipline to go to sleep early. It's about being a grown-up. You're not a teenager anymore. You actually have to change something if you want permanent change. So if you can go to sleep at 10:30, you can wake up at 5:30, do half an hour of yoga, and suddenly you have completely changed. You have revolutionized your life, I would like to say, without exaggeration.
Also, go to Instagram, find Jocko Willink and follow him, because the dude is an ex-Navy SEAL. He wakes up every morning at 4:30, posts a picture of it, and you will feel a little bit more motivated if you can do it.
I used to sleep in for many years. I was a slacker in my 20s, and when I started waking up early and I got all the day's worth of work done before 12, you feel like the king of the universe, and you have your half of your day, the most relevant half of your day, the afternoon where everybody's awake, where you can talk to people, you're free because you answered all the emails, you cleaned the kitchen, you did all the chores before anyone even woke up. So suddenly you have twice the amount of lifetime.
It's one of those questions probably where you expect a simple tip or answer, but it's a complete life change that you have to do.
You should go to sleep before 10 and you will change your life.
I'm just reading a book called Sleep by a sleep coach, and what he recommends as well is setting a wake-up time that doesn't change. So it has to be early because it has to take into account, I don't know, that day when you might have an early meeting. It has to be the same every day, even on the weekend, because our body's circadian rhythm is based on the sun going up and down, and it's also used to that time being relatively the same. So as Sebastian said, going to bed early and waking up at the same time every day would be really good tips. Yeah.
But it takes discipline. You're not going to do it just because I say it. You have to actually decide to do it if you want something to happen.
Okay, next pergunta here from Andre Kabazi, who's actually a Yoga for BJJ sponsor athlete. I find it difficult to do yoga on the days I don't train and am not very warm. Should you do yoga even if you're not very warmed up?
Yes, but you shouldn't start with handstand push-ups if you're not very warm. You should find regulating the intensity is something I talk about in my regular yoga classes every single day. Because some people are afraid that you can get injured in yoga, some people are afraid that yoga is not effective enough. And it's all a matter of regulating the intensity. So if you do a yoga flow, when you push yourself, if you're the type A mentality, type A personality who just always want to perform at 100%, it's probably a bad idea just to do a hard class without any warm-up because you're gonna mess yourself up. And if you're a lazy person, you probably can benefit from if you find it hard to practice yoga on the days you don't do jiu-jitsu, you're not above the threshold yet. You're still trying to figure out why yoga is any good. You're not like me, like one of the true believers of yoga because you haven't experienced enough of the benefits. Okay, let's say we were talking about jiu-jitsu. I find it hard to go to jiu-jitsu class more than like once a week because, I don't know, why is that? It's because you haven't trained enough jiu-jitsu, you're not hooked enough yet. So you have to put in those you have to put in the numbers for you to actually go from discipline to a habit. So I can't give you any more tips than just keep doing it as much as you can until you get past that threshold.
And doing yoga on the days when you don't do jiu-jitsu is perfect because you still have to do something, right? You can't sit, you can't lie somewhere, you're gonna get stiff. And man, when I train 2 times a day and so on, I'm so sore all the time. I really don't want to do jiu-jitsu yoga some days. See, I'm tired today, that's why
I want to ask Ian something, because while we've been here for a few days, I've been noticing you take every single opportunity you can to just throw in some poses here and there and just stretch it out. Like, how long have you been doing yoga, and how did that work out for you? When did it change? When did you start stretching all the time?
Our coach Dara does it all the time. Whenever we're with him, he could be in the middle of a conversation with you and we'll just walk over to the corner and start stretching. So I don't know, maybe I got the idea.
It's one of those weird ones.
He's socially unacceptable sometimes.
Yeah.
it's good.
But it should be socially acceptable.
It should be socially acceptable.
Yeah.
So you got inspired by your coach
I got inspired by my coach. Obrigado, professor. Also, on your day off, if you're not feeling like going too hard, check out the search bar and look for day off flow.
Yeah, it's actually there's 2 of them now.
They're easy and they're not in the program section, so have a look.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the most watched videos on the whole website, the day off flow, because it's designed for to give you a little workout without being too tough.
Just moving.
Yeah. Next question.
Yes. I wonder if it's good for me to do yoga or stretch in general with sore muscles.
Yes.
For example, the day after a hard rolling session. We're in the same area still, but we pretty much answered this, right?
Yeah. Soreness is not the same as pain. It's good pain. If you're sore and you stretch, it's gonna feel nice afterwards.
Do you think it's possible to stop doing any conditioning sessions and switch purely to yoga to benefit my jiu-jitsu? Thanks.
What was the essence of this question?
Do you think it's possible to stop doing conditioning and get...
Depends on what you mean with conditioning. If you're doing really shitty CrossFit that's hurting you, it's probably better to go over to yoga. But if you run for an hour and a half every week, yoga can never replace that. Like you can get your blood pumping in yoga, but if you run or swim or do some aerobic training, yoga is not gonna be able to replace that. The best combination is to do both, of course.
Why would you run if you do jiu-jitsu?
I started running now. I got some good shoes, and depends on. Like for me, the sparrings are I only get a good workout when I fight the best guys, and that's usually anaerobic training because they smash me so hard that I can't almost breathe, which is completely different from finding the pace when you run and you get a good flow. It's something completely different. So I wouldn't switch out a good conditioning program for yoga, but I would definitely add in yoga in addition to it and stop watching Game of Thrones for 2 hours a week or whatever it is that you're wasting your. I'm not saying that Game of Thrones is a waste of time, but you are wasting your time at least 2 hours a week. So you can't come and tell me and expect me to believe it that you don't have time to practice yoga for 30 minutes 4 times a week. That's I call it bullshit.
Yeah, and we're not saying like that was not totally for an answer to that question, but it was. It is a frustration.
It is a frustration because just because you're practicing cardio doesn't mean that you have to switch it out for yoga. You should be doing both because both are really good for you, and sitting in front of your TV is bad for you. Common sense, and sorry for being so brutal, but I have to be honest.
Like good shoulder pressure. Sorry for being brutal, but I have to keep you honest. Okay, let's go into something more specific. So we have a question: shoulder and back kinks and cobwebs. I'm not exactly sure what cobwebs mean, but any flow suggestion or stretch tips? So just general shoulder tips that you like to. So the same, let's say Ian he's throwing in some stretches. What would you throw in during the day for your shoulders?
That's not a question that I can answer in a podcast. It's something you have to check out the shoulder week and the shoulder videos. You actually have to do it. I can't just write you 50 words and it will give you a solution. You actually have to watch the videos, practice to them over and over again to understand them.
Fair enough. And then let's go on to any general tips for helping with lower back pain and mobility for grapplers in their 40s.
Yes.
Back pain week.
Back pain week.
Yoga for 40 plus coming soon.
Yep. And all videos on the website, there is no expiry date on the videos. They will work if you're 50, they will work if you're 15. So, but of course, if you put on a video and you see me do something crazy and you feel like my 45-year-old body has no chance of doing this, stop the video, find another one. I can't do every video for every possible body type and age. You have to navigate your way around those things that you can't do. But any general tips for back pain? I recorded back pain week just to be able to answer that question because we get it almost every day. So do the back pain week. A lot of people have had great success with it. Yeah.
Okay, next question. Which competitions are you doing next? What's your first one?
My first competition in black belt was the Europeans, and it felt pretty good. I was really happy with being able to fight the best, and I'm gonna try to do as many IBJJF tournaments as I can to grind the points for the Worlds. I'm going to Pan Ams. It's gonna be exciting. And I'm gonna try to do Rome and London and maybe another one.
Awesome. Ian, what are you doing? Which competitions can you recommend to your European homies?
Well, if you're a blue belt, 85 kilos, don't do London Grand Slam, but otherwise I'd recommend that one. A few pro trials coming up as well: Amsterdam, British National Pro, and then Rome.
Nice.
Rome will be good. Gi, no gi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you're having trouble deciding which competition to do, shoot Ian a message on Yoga for BJJ. He's a huge BJJ nerd, so he knows everything, where they are, when they are, all that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool, let's go on. Sebastian, what do you think about the benefits of mindfulness and meditation? Do you do any in your videos?
Yoga is kind of, I think the yoga I practice and the yoga I like to teach is mindful movement, and if you practice yoga for long enough, I think it becomes meditative. In the beginning, it's not meditative at all because it's hurting and you're struggling and fumbling and falling over. But when you find the flow, then it becomes meditation. I find it really hard to just sit down and meditate. After I did a really tough class, And during that class and after that class, I'm in a completely different state of mind, and I think it's one of the best things I've ever experienced.
That's a good point there in your answer, is that when you do yoga for the first time, maybe one of your videos, I remember when I did them, I hated.
Yeah, I remember.
I wasn't like too. It's humiliating. It's humiliating because you don't move your body in those ways. You should have, but you didn't. And then at one point, you're on your yoga mat and you're doing the right thing. You start working towards a better, more mobile, more flexible you. But it doesn't mean that you like it, because I'm embarrassed how inflexible I am still, and I'm way less inflexible than I was 2 years ago when I started, for sure. But come on, you can't let that break you, or what? Are you just gonna turn off the video and not do it? Then how would anyone get a jiu-jitsu black belt if you just come to your first training and get smashed and you're like, nope, that's not for me, I'm out of here. So be tough, go through it.
What's that guy from your academy? Purple belt. He was purple belt when I was there. Really Irish guy with a big red beard. And I asked him like, yeah, remember your website? I'm like, oh, do you like it? No, I hated it. But why do you do it if you hate it? Because I have to. And after 5, 6, 7 sessions, he said he started liking it more and more. But he absolutely hated it. He just did it because he realized he had to.
Yeah.
So be like him. I don't know his name, but
I don't know who you're talking about. Well, that sounds like everybody I talk about. I hate it.
Big Irish lad.
So much of a story.
Yeah, but it's just like during a roll now, when you're, I don't know, not a white belt, when you roll, you're not thinking about shrimping and arm bars and kimuras and all the possible. Everything is already there. You're just kind of thinking about the task at hand, the next move, the setups and so on. And it's very similar in yoga. The first time you do it, you're not familiar with it. You don't know what a down dog is. You don't know what a plank is. You don't know what a sun salutation is. But you see that there's patterns, and after you know those patterns, it gets far less tough. And you're way better off, and slowly your mobility improves.
Learning the alphabet is boring. Learning a new language is boring, but actually being able to speak it or write poetry or sing it or just talk to your friends in another language or whatever is fun. So you just need to get past ABC until you can start expecting to like it.
Okay, next question. Sebastian, do you have any tips for achieving a handstand? I have been trying for a while. I'm getting closer, but I can't get the stability.
Handstand is probably the most difficult thing to teach over camera. I can probably help you within 5 minutes if I met you to show you exactly where you should improve. But handstand is difficult to learn because you can't see yourself. If you have a camera, it helps. But since you have no idea what right and left is when you're upside down, it's hard to learn on your own. It's possible, but it helps to go to yoga classes that are handstand focused or just inversion focused. I have a couple of handstand tips videos that you should check out. One of the old videos. Just search for handstands in the search function, and
maybe you could do a handstand program or something similar.
I'm gonna do an advanced program later, and it's gonna be very handstand focused. But it's gonna be for those of you who have been training for more than a year with me and need a big challenge. I'm gonna do some really tough classes. Think hip week 1. It's gonna be that level for a whole week.
Are you gonna cry? Maybe.
Throw up? Yeah. Possibly. Yeah.
Throw up. Yeah. You're not gonna throw up, don't worry.
But that program will be handstand focused, so I will give a lot of tips there.
Cool. Next one. Let's see.
You should keep your phone unlocked.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do. And we have
these two guys are they have the best phone in the world, the OnePlus 3, and it sucks because they're so addicted to it, so they're constantly on their phone. I have an iPhone 6. It is the worst phone in the world, and I love it because I never use it because it's a piece of shit.
I'm not addicted to my phone.
What was the next question?
A little, maybe. The next question was about your nutrition. Jake mentioned that he knows that you're plant-based and would like to know more about the way you eat.
Ask me specifics, because explaining general stuff about food is hard. Ask me some specifics.
So basically, I think he was pointing at the fact that you're vegan, and this is a time to talk.
Where do you get your protein? No. Let's take another angle. Tell me what you had while you were here. I cooked for you. I made some food for you. What did you eat? Breakfast?
Breakfast oats with fruit and different things. It was good. Usually I have eggs. I actually think I might have oats more now. I think it was good. Yeah.
What else?
We had loads of vegetables and some cool vegan food, to be honest, with some fake meat, like soy-based stuff. It's actually very good food. Not what I would normally eat, but
you said that the kebab was the best kebab you've ever had.
Oh yeah, we had a vegan kebab. It was legit.
We had some burgers tonight.
We had some burgers tonight. I never realised that the fake meat, how similar it was to real meat in terms of texture and taste, and I'd happily eat that every day if I was, you know what I mean?
If it was cheaper and available,
Exactly.
Yeah, so in terms of that kind of nutrition, it actually, I've tried it a few times before when I was here with you, but it's not at all as bad as you would think. And I think, knowing Sebastian, he is vegan, but he's one of the most chilled vegans, and I have a very similar approach to nutrition. Just I'm a little bit more hypocritical, and I actually eat meat, but
don't be angry at all the vegans that are preachy and obsessive, because they had a realization. I was the same in the beginning. You just see how fucking messed up things are, and you can't help but to talk about it. So give them some slack, because probably one day you're gonna be in a similar situation, either with that or can be something else. But when someone talking about jiu-jitsu all the time, when someone had an epiphany, because you don't become vegan without an epiphany. You just realize that something is fucked up, and then you change.
It's like there's a lot of, with nutrition, it's basically an ideology, and people get really into it. And I'm saying
everyone is defensive. Whatever they eat, they're always defensive. I'm defending about.
There was this one thing that I eat beef occasionally. I try to avoid it as much as possible, and I don't eat pork because I used to have a pet pig, and I think they're way too smart to be eaten. Intelligence level higher than a dog, scary intelligence. So, but beyond that, there was this outrage about a movie about a dog where they pushed the dog into a river. The river was apparently, or it was in a studio that simulated a river. And there was this whole outrage about this dog being pushed in despite it trying to get out. They filmed it, they took the dog out, he was fine, but he got pushed in. And there was all this backlash against that, but
probably by people eating burgers and pizza.
Yeah, but no one cares about all the cows and pigs and other animals that were held in cages and slaughtered. I know that we eat them and we don't eat dogs, but it's a little bit funky, like the way we have attachments to certain kinds of animals.
I can sum it up like this. If you have one single point of critique to vegans, in order for that to be valid, no matter what it is, go watch Earthlings, that movie, and if you finish it, you have my deepest respect if you don't turn vegan. If you watch the full Earthlings without closing your eyes, without looking away, and you can say, I'm gonna continue to do exactly what I do, then I'm gonna send you a check of $500, and I'm not kidding. That's when you watch something like that, it's just gonna change you forever.
This is dangerous. You have some freaking cold people.
But they should film themselves watch that.
Yeah, there's some tiny there's.
I don't think there's that many cold people watching that show. I think they quit by long ago.
Yeah, but someone will.
As soon as you say vegan, then those people just shut up.
Someone will persevere for $500 if you don't take it too seriously.
I'm sorry.
So, do you have anything else that you would like to talk about? We ran out of questions with a little technical difficulty. My phone died there.
I think we covered the most interesting and pressing matters.
Okay, let's then talk about jiu-jitsu a little bit more. What would be your tip to any white belts that are just starting out? They got into yoga for BJJ, or they're just stumbled upon this podcast. Do you have, not as a fresh black belt, do you have any tips for those people starting out?
Don't quit. I'm one of the guys that when I started jiu-jitsu, I'm maybe one guy out of 50 that still practices. Not all of the guys I started with are black belts, but most just quit. So if you don't quit, you're gonna be able to go on forever. So not quitting is the essential bit. Most people change their priorities and they get an injury and they give up, and maybe you find something that is even more satisfying than jiu-jitsu, but usually that's not the case. You just quit because of various reasons. Yeah. So if you're a fresh white belt, try to actually write down, film yourself, try to things that you take for granted now. You probably maybe you have forgotten it 6 years from now. So it's important to like cement what you feel now into your brain so that you realize that this is something that I should actually do for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is actually, and a good thing would be to consider BJJ as more than a hobby, because some people like they do BJJ and then they do, I don't know, ice skating or some shit. They switch it like it's just a hobby. Obviously to us it isn't, because we do this pretty much full time. But if you look at all the benefits that you're going to get out of jiu-jitsu, just because it occasionally sucks, especially when you're a white belt.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a white belt. I think you probably have the same story, but we both did judo before we started jiu-jitsu, and I remember thinking that I'm a hotshot, like I'm in shape, I'm 18, I have a judo black belt, I'm gonna go into this jiu-jitsu gym and just destroy some people. I got freaking destroyed by accountants, chimney sweepers, like just regular guys, just doing shitty judo technique, turning my back, getting choked over my face. It was so frustrating, yeah. But
it's okay to have jiu-jitsu as a hobby, but don't assume that just because you did jiu-jitsu for half a year that you have any idea what it is about, because the longer you do it, the more revelations you will have. The first year is just a tiny taste of what's to come.
Yeah.
Like how different is your training now from the first week when you train jiu-jitsu?
That's completely different.
You could no way foresee how it would be to actually be able to pay back a little bit to the people who smashed you.
No. And like I said, most of the people who smashed me when I first started have quit now anyway.
Yeah.
So you stick with it and you get the benefits for sure.
Yeah, and just this enduring the hardship, enduring the times when you're frustrated, that just builds character. If you don't have that from before, you can build it from jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. You learn to enjoy getting smashed as well.
Yeah, and jiu-jitsu is not for people who doesn't like a challenge, because jiu-jitsu is a really bad business, because the worst part of jiu-jitsu is starting. Like it really sucks to start, because you're a guy at maybe 150 pounds and you go in and you get smashed by a girl half your size. For most people that's enough to never do it again. So if you're not ready to be humble, then jiu-jitsu probably isn't for you yet. You're not mature enough to actually appreciate it. But if you like to be taken away from your ID world and onto the ground, then jiu-jitsu is for you.
Jiu-jitsu is gonna take a shank and stab your ego, like just destroy it. Yeah. I think we're out of questions.
Yep.
We're pretty much at the end of. We can wrap it up.
Yeah.
Any final words?
I would wrap it up with putting it over to you viewers. Actually, write in the comments below.
Yeah.
What do you want to see next time?
Yes, do it below or
send an email.
Just send an email. Yes.
The little chat box on the website.
Yeah, just send that in there. It's gonna get tagged the next time we're going to.
And remember, if you ask general questions, you will get general replies. If you actually want something that you can use, ask a specific question. It makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay tough.
Oh fuck! I forgot to put the mic on.
Give me my phone.